Hi everyone. So a lady at work gave me these seashells. She asked me if I wanted to try to use these for one of my projects. She watches my videos all the time and thought I might like to make something out of these. So I've been thinking about it, and at first I thought I would make a water fountain, which I still might do that with some of the bigger shells. But with the smaller shells, I'm going to make a seashell flower pot. So I'll use the seashells in here and some of my own. And this will be my first time making one. And we'll see how it turns out. These are really pretty. Okay, so here's all the items I'm going to use to make the shell vase. I took all the shells out of the case. They're all so pretty. Some of them may be too big to use, but we'll see. I'm going to play around with it. And then I'll use these smaller shells in between the big shells. I got this bag at Walmart. It was about $5. And I'm going to use this stone granules, looks like beach sand, in between the shells. And I'm going to use some beads, give it some color. I've got blue gems to give it some more color. And I've got little white stones, clear marbles. And I found this E6000 industrial strength, which I've never seen before. And it says waterproof indoor-outdoor. So I think this is going to be perfect for this project. Here's a comparison of the two. Alright, so I'm going to get started. Alright, so I divided up the shells into the ones I can and can't use here. I think these ones are going to be too big, so I set these aside. And these little shells are very fragile, so they'll break easy. So I'm not going to use those. But I think I can use all of these shells here. The first thing I'm going to do is sand this pot a little bit just to rough it up and make sure that glue will stick really well to it. I'm going to use 150 grit sandpaper. And I have my little spinning table here that I put paper on so I don't drip glue onto it. So I can turn it while I'm working on it. Okay, so here's the glue. Okay, so this is what it looks like when you open it. And you have to puncture the top like that. Okay, so I'm going to glue the bigger shells on here first. So let's start with this big one. Okay, so that's just going to slide off, which means I need to do it on its side. I'll have to do it this way. Okay, it says to allow to partially cure for 2 minutes and then allow 24 hours for curing. So that's how long it takes to dry. 24 hours. Let's see. Let me try gluing this one. Let's see. let some of these larger shells dry before I take the tape off, and then I'll start putting the smaller ones in between them. Okay, so I pulled the tape off of all these big shells. I'm going to go ahead and put some medium-sized shells in between the big ones. Let's see, let's start over here. Okay, so it's the next day. Everything's had a while to dry. And I have to say that this E6000 industrial strength is holding really well. These shells are nice and tight. So that was a good choice for this project. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in with all the other things. Now, one thing I wanted to say about creating something like this is that sometimes you'll be working on something and you'll feel like, I don't know if I really like it. You know, is this going to turn out all right? Last night I was feeling like, I wasn't really sure. I've never made one of these before. But sometimes you just have to step away from it. And then the next day you look at it and think, oh, that's not so bad. And then you just kind of make it better. So don't give up on any projects that you're working on. Just keep working on it, make changes until you really like it. Or just step away from it for a while and you'll see things differently the next day. So, okay. One of the first things I'm going to do this morning is I'm going to glue some of these little marbles on here. They're little clear marbles, and I thought they looked like little water drops or little bubbles in the ocean. So I'm just going to glue these in different areas on the pot. Okay, so now I'm going to put some of the little blue gems on here. Okay, so now I'm going to put a few of these little white stones in here. Something else you might find on the beach. Okay, now I want to add some gold beads. I think this will really make it pop if I put some inside the clamshells. I'll have to use tweezers. And then put a few around the outside of the pot too, just to give it even more color. Let's see how this works. I'm going to try using a Q-tip to put some glue inside the shell. Okay, I think that's enough gold. I didn't want to overdo it. And I'm going to let that dry for a little while before I put the final little stones on here. The beach sand. And that'll just fill in everything and pull it all together. So. Okay, so I have to put the sand on the sides of the pot, and it needed to be a flat surface, so I kind of put this little contraption together. I put a pan underneath it to catch the sand so I don't waste it, and then I have these 2 bricks and a pole running through the bottom just to hold it up. Piece of foam in there, so that'll hold it on its side without the shells actually touching the ground. So that'll work for this, and then I can keep turning it as I work on it. So what I'm doing, and it seems to be working, is I'm using a Q-tip to put the gel down, and I have to use several Q-tips because it dries pretty quickly. So I lay down the gel, and then I'm putting the sand on top, and then using a dry Q-tip to press it down into the gel so that it stays in place. And then when it's dry, of course, the loose stuff will just be falling off into the pan, and then I can reuse the sand that fell into the pan. So that seems to be working good. And I'll just keep going. It takes a little time, but it'll be worth it in the end. Okay, I'm having to open another tube of E6000, so always have a second one handy just in case. Okay, so I have it all covered in sand. I'm going to let this dry overnight before I brush it off. And then I'm going to put the sand on the top edge of the pot too. I'll do that tomorrow. Something else I wanted to show you is whenever I use glue, like E6000, I'll usually put a layer of plastic wrap over the top and then twist the cap on top of that. It helps keep it from drying out, and it keeps the cap from sticking to the tube. So just something else that I do that might be helpful for you. Okay, so I let this dry overnight, and now I'm going to go ahead and put some sand around the top edge. Get that finished, and then any spots that I've missed or the sand didn't stick, I'm going to put a little more sand in those spots. Okay, so this is dried overnight. So now I'm just going to go back and wipe off some of the sand, all the loose sand around the stones and marbles and shells. And then I'm going to take it outside and spray a clear coat on here just to hold everything together and to seal it all in. Make sure it's protected. Give it a little gloss sheen. I think that'll look nice. Okay, so I put a couple coats of clear on it. I use this Rust-Oleum Gloss Clear. Okay, here it is with the plant in it. This is a Dracaena. Well, let me know what you think in the comments. And thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.